All right, so the conjugate's kind of really cool. So we haven't been using the conjugate up to this point because we haven't needed to. It's been really nice. But from this point forward, there's one that we don't necessarily need to, but I'm going to show you what happens if we do. And I'll show you that it's exactly the same as if we didn't. What's really cool is if we take the conjugate of this number and multiply it by it, we get actually kind of cool number. So the conjugate of this number is 3 plus the square root of 5. The only thing that's changing is the sign in the middle. That's it. The sign in front of the square root. So like 8 minus square root of 6, this becomes 8 plus square root of 6. The square root of 5, the sign in front of the square root needs to change. So we get negative square root 5. There's an importance for the changing of signs. I'm not going to go over it right now, but there is an importance. Okay, and then we've got 3 plus the square root of 0. This would just be 3 minus the square root of 0. If you notice, the square root of 0 would just be 0, so this would just technically be 3. But anyway, that's the thing. So this is the first one, and I'm going to show you why it doesn't matter if we change the sign on the square root when we divide. It just turns out to be the same thing. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate. So I'm going to do negative square root 3. So I'm going to change the sign on that square root. So we do 7 times negative square root 3, and we get negative 7 square root 3. And then square root 3 times negative square root 3 is going to be negative 3, because square root 3 times square root 3 is 9. Well, if you look, negative divided by a negative is a positive. So see how the negative just kind of cancels itself out if we multiply the top and bottom by it, because it technically cancels itself out at the beginning. Now, the reason it's super important that we have that changing of signs is going to be showing up here. All right, so I need to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate. So this is going to be 3 plus square root 5. And I'm going to do the top and bottom. Do you see how this one, the negative, doesn't cancel out? Yeah, that's super important because you can't cancel out a plus sign. That doesn't make sense. You can't, no, it's not a thing. So I'm going to multiply the bottom. So we've got 3 minus square root 5 and 3 plus square root 5 that we're multiplying together. Yes, the box is coming back. So we've got 3 minus square root 5, 3 plus square root 5. Well, 3 times 3 is just 9. 3 times square root 5 is 3 square root 5. I've got a square root that I can't get rid of, so it's not a nice, pretty whole number yet. 3 times negative square root 5 is negative 3 square root 5. Another square root 5 that I can't get rid of yet. And then negative square root 5 times positive square root 5 just becomes negative 5. Because it'd be the square root of 25. Square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so let's write this in a line and see what we can get rid of. So we've got 9 plus 3 square root 5 minus 3 square root 5 minus 5. Well, we can combine the square root 5s, which when we have plus 3 square root 5 minus 3 square root 5, we got 0 square root 5. So they just cancel out, and we're left with 9 minus 5. Well, 9 minus 5 is just 4. So on the bottom is just 4. And now I can take my 2 and distribute it through, and that's pretty easy. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times square root 5 is a positive 2 square root 5. Now, I'm going to simplify this further because I can. See how everything's even? I can cancel out a 2. Now, if you have a hard time seeing that, you can do it this way. We've got 6/4 plus 2 square root 5 over 4. Well, 6/4 is the same thing as 3/2. And 2/4 is the same thing as 1/2. So this just ends up being the square root of 5 over 2. Or 3 plus the square root of 5 over 2. Really, we just took it all and divided everything by 2, each piece. Okay, that's it for my example there. So go ahead and try this one on your own. You've got this. All right, so on this last one, it's just a matching activity. You're going to be taking those on the page 33, matching them to the ones on page 31. Go ahead and cut them out. There's a matching activity here on this Nearpod that you need to finish. And then once you finish that, go ahead and write a recap and show an example. PC number 1 is next time, so please do the review and study. I will give you a little bit of time in class for questions, so if you have any, please ask them. Okay, love you guys so much.